Hey everybody, welcome to your daily reading for Friday, September 30th, 2016. This is a special edition. It's not a special edition because I intended for it to be. This worked itself out. I mean, this had its own agenda. And I say that because for those of you who might be looking at at this daily reading for the first time with me, I usually just use three cards. When I have jumpers, or when I've had jumpers previously, these are all jumpers if I hadn't mentioned it. When I've had jumpers previously, I will generally pick the first three cards that I touch and then make a mental note of those that jumped out. The reason being is because, I try to keep the dailies kind of simple and short. I like for the viewers to be able to, feel like they can get in and get out, so to speak, without feeling like they've lost an entire chunk of their day, and still get relevant messages or insight or, upliftment, or, maybe it's not uplifting that day, but I'm so sorry. I'm going to just let that finish. That is funny. That is my text message notification. Okay, guys. Anyway, back to it. So, like I said, I just kind of like for them to be brief and as, insightful as they could possibly be. But in this case, I just couldn't not read these cards. I don't know what it was about today, but there was a pull at me to lay these cards out. And while I don't intend to make an entire movie out of this, I'm just gonna, I guess, talk for as long as I need to, making an effort to still keep it bearable. So I feel like this message is aimed at those of us who are aware that we are in the midst of some sort of spiritual ascension, some type of major transformation. I feel like it is aimed at us, at those of us who have had some experiences, in the way that it kind of um, summarizes what we've been through from start to now. Now, everybody who listens to these tarot readings or listens to their zodiac sign messages or whatever, they're not necessarily actively practicing or actively working with some sort of spiritual transformation. Some people really just want to get a jump on the day, just get an idea of what's going on around them so that they can navigate accordingly. But I want to say to those people, if you are watching this video today, then by the law of attraction, this message is for you too. And the thing about it is, I feel like it gives you a bit of a jump on the things that are to come. Because I feel like if you are looking at this video today, whether you know it or not, there's something going on. And if you are not aware of it now, you will be made aware of it very soon. Me, myself, when I started to go through this process, I just had no idea what was going on. I'm still flailing around a little bit, trying to wrap my head around a lot of this. But I will say, when when you when the veil is lifted for you, when you understand that there is a lot more to this than what we see or what we think we see, what we know or what we think we know, um, when we, I lost my train of thought. Um, Darn it, I'll get back to that. I'll say this: when I started to realize that there was something else going on, and I started to go through this process, I didn't put two and two together. I had no idea what was going on, and I just, like I said, I was flailing around like a wet fish, just trying to get my bearings, just really trying to get back to the water, trying to get back to a familiar spot. But at the same time, I guess I knew that I was headed in the direction that I needed to be headed in, even though a lot of it was scary and strange and foreign and, unbelievable to me. So I know there are probably some of you who are in the midst of some sort of ascension or transformation. You know what this feels like. So I'll go ahead and start identifying the cards. This is already running longer than I wanted to run, but I don't really think this is about me right now. So I'm going to start, we're going to go left to right from bottom to top. We've got the Page of Cups, the Three of Cups reversed, the Emperor reversed, the Tower reversed, the Queen of Cups, the King of Cups, the Empress, and the Strength card. So the messages that I'm getting, and let me say first, we've got 4 cup cards and we've got 4 major arcana. Major arcana are things that can't be changed. These are the big, huge karmic energies, divine energies, universal energies that come to us that we can't change. We just have to uh, figure out the best way to get through it, to deal with it. They're not always uncomfortable energies, but I say that when these energies are somewhat uncomfortable, that we do our best to pay attention, get the messages that are trying to be delivered to us so that we don't have to relive these uncomfortable phases of life again. So, okay, we've got the 4 major arcana and we have 4 cup cards. And while cups are definitely about love and relationships, this is a very spiritual reading. This is about spirituality. It's about insight, intuition, the 4 clairs, clairvoyance, which is clear seeing, clairaudience, clear hearing, clear sentience, clear feeling, and clear cognizance, which is clear recognition. That's when something just comes to you that you just know that you should not know. It's like an aha moment, and you are like, okay, am I supposed to know that? I mean, it's like, oh my gosh, I don't know. It's like finding the cure for the common cold, which nobody has done. You're all of, I mean, you're in the restaurant brushing your teeth, and all of a sudden you come up with a foolproof way to cure the common cold, something that has been sought after for many, many years, I assume. So those what the 4 clairs are. I'm sorry if I confused you. These cups are about love as well, but it's about a universal love. It's about the love and the light. It's not about the physical love. This reading is not about your physical relationships with other people. It's not sexual. It's not romantic. It is purely spiritual and universal. So I feel like for those of us who are already in this, the Page of Cups represents when we started to find out that something was up. And that may have been the thought that I was trying to get out earlier and I lost my train of thought. The Page of Cups brings us a message that says, hey, I've got some information for you about your intuition. Things are about to change. And with the pages, the pages are the least experienced of all of the court cards. And the court cards are the pages, the knights, the queens, and the kings. And if you notice, we have the page, we have the queen, we have the king, but there's no knight. And I'll get to that in a minute. So the Page of Cups comes to us and says, hey, surprise, got some for you. Things are going to be changing real quick around here. Okay, you get this information, you are trying to figure out what it is, and then you kind of start to figure it out. But, we're still in human bodies. So we do human things. So now we think that we are just, oh my gosh, the big cheese. We found out that that we have a few extra abilities or something, that we didn't realize that we were capable of. And we start to celebrate. But the celebration was premature. It doesn't work like that. This is a lifelong process and we are forever learning, forever growing, forever changing. So we start to celebrate. That's pride, that's vanity, that's ego, that's all of that stuff. We're telling everybody about it. Like I said, we're celebrating. Hey, I can do this, I can do that, I know this, I know that. That celebration was probably premature for a lot of us. It was not time to celebrate. It wasn't time to celebrate because we were still the emperor reversed. We were somebody who now has the authority and the power, but we don't know how to use it. We're not quite ready for that yet. But oh, we thought we were, so we started to celebrate. Well, the reason that we weren't ready yet is because the Tower card showed up. And the Tower card is often referred to, or is often described as when the shit hits the fan. And I know we're talking about spirituality and transformation and all that stuff, but yeah, it kind of hits the fan. Um, you're on cloud nine for a while, and then things get real, they get serious. And it doesn't feel so good anymore. And you're not comfortable anymore. You're not very happy anymore. And you wonder why. Well, it's almost like an initiation process. This walk isn't going to be easy. This journey isn't going to be easy. It's going to be the most beautiful thing that you've ever experienced, but it's going to be the hardest. And the Tower reversed, if you can see that, that's a lot of conflict. And like I said, that's like an initiation process. How much can you take? How fearless are you? How far are you willing to go to find out the truth? How far are you willing to go to spread the love? Not the news necessarily, the love. You can love somebody and be as spiritual as you want to be without ever telling them that you got some extra stuff going on. You just love them. And that's what this is all about in the end, is love. But it's a universal love. It's God's love. It's the love and the light. This is big, big love we're talking about here. We ain't talking about the little low, hey, I love you. No, not that. So, like I said, we get the news. Things start coming up for us. We start to celebrate. because now we are some superhuman being, but then we find out that we weren't ready. And oh, it was about to go down. Yeah, it was about to hit the fan. But we are still seekers of the truth. So we keep going and we get past that. But even still, we may have skipped some steps along the way, which is why the night isn't here. So we're starting to develop and grow, but we are still wanting to take two steps at a time instead of one. So we still end up dealing with the tower card for a while. And I feel like this is representative of what we call the dark night of the soul. And to just kind of make it plain, it's kind of like a deep fear and depression. And as this is going on, you're working out old traumas. You're releasing old negative energies, things that don't serve you anymore. Uh, it's forcing you to let go of things that are past its expiration date. And that can be very, very hard to do. Anything that has to do with ego and self gratification on a physical level, all of that, all of that stuff has to die before we can experience God in his entirety. I don't know if that will ever happen while we are in a human body, but we take the steps necessary, we make the preparations so that when we do finally get back to God, we are ready, we are prepared, we're developed, we're groomed, we are fully grown. But like I said, don't get so pompous that you think that you're going to be that person here in the human body. Sure, you'll grow, and I'm about to show you that in a minute. But you know I, I know they say that God is us and we are God and all of that, but me personally, I choose to feel like God's love is in me, but that God is, while we're connected, he's still my authority. I feel like that I need somebody to answer to. I feel like I need somebody that I respect enough to want to do the right thing. Somebody that I have to face when I'm in my wrongs, when I'm working with my shadow side. And that is God for me, which is why I choose to keep uh, his power separate. I've said a couple of times, if I ever get to a point where I'm no longer fazed or surprised by the things that happen to me, take me out, because then by that time I must think I'm God. And I don't ever want to think that I'm God. That's just me personally. It just doesn't feel right to me. God, I feel like God is, God is everything. And that's much, much bigger than me. I might blend into that some. But, you know, in the spectrum of time, you can't even see me. There's no evidence that I exist because I'm so small in that. That's what I mean. So moving on, we go through the dark night of the soul. And there are going to be remnants of that. We're always going to be working out traumas and needing to release old energies. But I think as we grow and as we learn, as we commit and dedicate ourselves uh, to um, as we dedicate ourselves to our transformation and ascension, we don't take on as much. We don't accumulate as much traumatic uh, stress, or we don't accumulate as much bad karma as we did before we started to ascend. So there's not as much to have to get rid of. but we're still in a human body, so I feel like there's always going to be some. So anyway, we can see that we skipped the night. We've had to go through our initiation processes and see how strong that we were. And even though we skipped over the Knight of Cups, we still continue to grow, because now we've got the Queen of Cups. And she's, of course, more experienced, more developed, more knowledgeable, all of those things, than the Page of Cups, than the Knight of Cups. And then we come into the King of Cups, who is all of those things times 10, even more so than the Queen. So that was one of the things that struck me about this spread. They were all jumpers. What are the chances of having 3 of the 4 court cards in the same suit? And it clearly shows the development, the growth, because I laid them out as they came out. They jumped out, and I put them out the way that I felt like they jumped out, even though it was a little uh, uh, chaotic, but this is what I ended up with. So we got the page here to start, but then we see a perfect next step once we start to get our stuff together and we go through the initiation process, and we start to humble ourselves so that we can grow. We clearly move from one level to the next, from the Queen of Cups to the King of Cups. So now we come to the Empress, and she's the 3rd major arcana.
Sometime.
The Empress is ready to give birth to something. After you have the universal thought that you don't even know about, once that comes to you, and then the seed is planted, the universal thought that you don't even know about comes with the 1st major arcana, which is the Magician. The 2nd major arcana is the High Priestess. And this is when we start to understand that there's light and dark. We start to understand that there's a need for balance and harmony between the two. We start to understand that there are things that we don't know. After the High Priestess comes the Empress. So that seed that has been planted with us with the High Priestess, we've cultivated that, and now it's time to give birth to it. 3s are about work. 3s are also about expression. The Empress is holding a big Venus symbol right here. So she's about the birth of our creative expression from the things that we've learned, from the things that we've experienced. And she's a major arcana, so she's big stuff. Well, now that we have given birth, whether that is to a new way of life, to a new way of thinking, to a new way of loving, to new practices, whatever that is, once we've given birth to that and we've committed to that and we continue to, because once we give birth to something, now we've got to take care of it. We got to keep it alive. We got to give it whatever it needs to continue to grow. And the Empress helps us do that. So now for those of us, like I said, who have already been in this for a while, we are now at the point of power and strength. Now, that's not to say that we are the end all be all. That will never be, at least not for me. And that's what I was saying about how I feel about keeping my superior, my authority, my father figure, my creator, my alpha, my omega, my beginning and my end separate from me, because he's perfect and I'm not. But what I do have now is power and strength to continue my journey, to continue to grow, to continue to develop, to continue to learn, to continue to seek. I added all of these cards up and they come up to the number 7. How perfect. The 7 is, from what I understand, it's God's favorite number. It's about perfection, it's about divine order. I mean, and that's really all I'm going to say about that. Perfection and divine order. The other thing I don't know, and one more thing I want to add, it's about going into what I call the quiet and looking for the answers from within rather than from without. The external forces, the external energies, the external interferences, what I call them, that we deal with today, often keep us from taking that moment of quiet, which we may find in meditation. And meditation doesn't have to be you sitting in some difficult position, quoting om. I mean, if you are dancing because that's what you love to do, if you're playing music, maybe you are doing some art, whatever it is that takes you into your happy place, that is not um, hurtful to you, that is beneficial to your growth and your development, that's meditation. You can lie down and do it. Like I said, you can dance and do it. You can draw and do it. Uh, Whatever you want to do that you feel like gets you closer to peace, gets you closer to the answers, the truth, gets you closer to happiness and love, is meditation. So for 7 to rule this reading, like I said, how perfect. The other thing I noticed about this, and I'm going to wrap it up, is that there were 8 cards. The last card is the number 8. The other thing for me too is this card is ruled by Leo, and I'm a Leo. I just wanted to give God a hug. I felt like that was intended for me. And that's how this whole thing's work. This whole thing works. If you're willing to listen, you can hear God talk. You can hear his messages. You just gotta listen. And not ignore them, not brush them off as something else. We've been so poisoned, so trained not to believe in the things that we can't see, taste, touch, hear, or feel. But that is what we call faith in any religion, in any practice, in any seeking of truth and knowledge. It's faith. One more thing I want to mention is the number 7. Well, while you can come to 7 in many ways, one of the ways that you can come to the number 7 is 1 plus 6. 1 plus 6 is thought to be the most dangerous karmic debt combination number in spirituality. The Tower card, how about that, is the number 16. And this is where I told you that it hit the fan. And it gets scary. It gets heavy. And if you're not careful, does that look safe to you? Oh yeah, that can be dangerous. And I mean, like I said, the synchronicities, the way that all of this jumped out, the order that it jumped out in, the messages that I felt like I was supposed to deliver, the fact that this card is ruled by my sign and I am only the messenger, I am a vessel. This to me shows the flow of energy, the flow of universal messages and guidance from me to you. That was the special edition of the daily reading for September 30th, 2016. I had no idea, but that's what it is. I'm I'm not even going to advertise or throw any plugs in this one. You guys just have a lovely, wonderful day, and I love you all.